Friends, this story begins by showing a world that is completely different from the world we live in today. Here, the land has turned barren, and people are ready to kill each other just for water. Because in this world, the biggest scarcity is that of water. However, the rich people don't have to suffer from this shortage because they extract water using huge machines from places where some water still exists, and then they supply that water to the cities where the wealthy people live. But the poor people live in villages with their families trying to survive. Among these families is the family of a man named Ernest, who lives with his wife Catherine, daughter Mary, and son Jerome. Ernest owns a large piece of land where he used to farm with his father. But due to the lack of water, he can no longer do that. Yet he remains hopeful that if he finds water, his land could once again become green and fertile. That's why he even talks to the water extraction workers about this and asks them for water for irrigation. But they refuse him, saying he can't get that much water. And if he still wants it, he'll have to pay a price. Meaning, Ernest would need to pay a large amount of money, which he currently does not have. But on the way, his mule, which he used to load supplies and deliver them to people, gets injured in the leg and collapses right there. Reluctantly, Ernest has to put it down because it could no longer walk. Ernest returns home with his son Jerome, and here we see his daughter Mary, who is cleaning the food plates using soil. Because due to the water shortage, utensils are now cleaned in this way. Ernest feels deeply saddened after losing his mule, and now he begins searching for another mule. So he takes his son Jerome to a place where robotic animals were auctioned. Here, everyone is bidding for that robotic animal. Among them is also a man named Flame. He wanted to buy that robotic animal, but Ernest buys it by offering a better price because he knew how useful this robotic animal could be for him. Although Flame gets very angry about this, but he says nothing to Ernest and walks away from there. Meanwhile, Ernest arrives at a hospital with his son Jerome, where his wife Catherine stays. Actually, Catherine had lost her ability to walk in an accident, and she needed a special frame in order to walk again. But Ernest didn't have enough money to buy that frame. That's why Catherine now lives in this hospital. Because this hospital has that frame, which helps her walk. After meeting his wife, Ernest heads back home. But on the way, he sees a boy named Robbie, who has a small child with him. Robbie's financial condition is extremely poor. He doesn't even have money to buy food, and fearing his child might die of hunger, he wants to sell the child. But Ernest stops him from doing so and tells him that he should not lose hope. He also gives the boy some water to drink. Then he returns home. A little while later, we see that Flame comes to ask Ernest for the robotic animal, but Ernest flatly refuses to give him the robot because he knows very well how rude and ill-mannered Flame is. Plus, he knows that if Flame takes the robot, he will never return it. Here we also learn that Flame is having an affair with Ernest's daughter, Mary. Even Ernest is aware of this, and he warns his daughter to stay away from Flame. But Mary doesn't listen to him and starts seeing her own father as the bad guy. The next day, Ernest digs a hole, hoping that water might come out from this spot. But because of the large machines and their pipelines, the entire surrounding area is dried up. So Ernest faces disappointment here as well. After this, as soon as Ernest returns home, Mary comes to him and tells him that she needs some money because she's going out with Flame. She also says that she can't stay here any longer. Ernest tries hard to make her understand, but when she refuses to listen, he locks her inside the room and nails shut the windows and doors so that Mary can't escape. Now, as soon as Ernest goes out to get supplies, he sees that someone has stolen his robotic animal. His suspicion immediately falls on Flame. He quickly gets into his car and rushes to the place where the water supply work was going on, so that he can ask the people there whether Flame had come or not. But there, all the suppliers gang up and attack Ernest. Actually, they accuse Ernest of stealing their water supply the previous night using a robotic animal, and that he sold it somewhere else. Hearing this, Ernest realizes that it was definitely Flame who committed the theft. So now, Ernest sets out to find Flame, and at one spot, he does find Flame with the robotic animal. Ernest's suspicion so that he could make a good profit. But Ernest ruins his plan, and at gunpoint, he begins taking Flame back to the suppliers. As they walk, both of them become very exhausted, and Ernest runs out of water. So Flame says to him, "We have plenty of water. You can drink the water. We'll sell the rest of the water and make a lot of money. And we'll divide that money between us." Ernest also drinks a little water to quench his thirst, but he refuses to sell the water because he had to take this water to the suppliers as proof. But Flame stops Ernest from doing so and suddenly attacks him, because of which Ernest gets seriously injured. And taking advantage of this moment, Flame forcefully makes him drink all the water so that the suppliers would think he was the one who stole the water. He also ties Ernest with the robotic animal using a rope and tries to make it look like the robotic animal went out of control and attacked him, which caused his death. After doing all this, Flame quickly leaves the place and reaches Ernest's home, meets Mary, and takes her with him. In the next scene, we see Jerome, who is looking for Ernest as he hasn't returned home. After searching for a long time, he finds his robotic animal, along with some water bottles. Jerome takes those bottles to the water suppliers. After seeing them, they realize that Ernest hadn't stolen their water, because if he had stolen it, the rest of the water should have been there too. Anyway, Jerome also learns about his father's death, and seeing the scene, everyone believes that Ernest died because the robotic animal went out of control. Jerome is deeply saddened after losing his father. He vents all his anger on the robot and tries to destroy it. Just then Flame arrives and tells him, "What will you gain by breaking the robot? It will be useful to us in the future." Flame decides that the land left behind by Ernest, he will use it for farming, so he goes to the water suppliers and tells them, "I need water for irrigation. Give me the water illegally, without informing the government. And once my crops are grown, I'll pay you a lot of money." Hearing this, the water suppliers agree, and Flame gets the water for his fields. He works very hard to irrigate the fields, and his hard work pays off in the form of a crop. Seeing this, Jerome feels very happy, and, impressed by Flame, he gets his sister married to him. At this point, everything is going well in Flame's life. But then, one day, some people from the bank arrive, who tell Flame that Ernest had taken a large loan against these fields, which he never repaid, and because of this, the bank is now going to seize the land. Hearing this, Flame becomes very upset, and to save the fields, he goes to Robbie for help. Yes, the same Robbie who once tried to sell his child to Ernest. Flame knew that Robbie wanted to sell his child, so he goes to Robbie with some people and makes a deal for his child. When those people give money to Robbie, Flame hits Robbie and snatches the money from his hands. In this scuffle, a bullet also hits the robotic animal, which breaks one of its legs, and then Flame escapes with the money. Now we see the robotic animal, who goes back to the same manufacturer who built it, because there was now a defect in its software. The next day, when Mary is sitting with Flame, we see Flame very happy, because he had now paid off the bank loan, and he tells them right there that he sold the animal to repay the debt. Meanwhile, the robotic animal crosses the border and reaches its manufacturer. And when they see its condition, they make an announcement on the radio that whoever owns this animal should come and collect it. When Ernest's son hears this announcement, he is shocked, because until now he believed that Flame had sold the robotic animal and used that money to repay the bank loan. That evening, when all three are sitting together, Jerome asks Flame, "Did you sell the robotic animal?" Hearing this, Flame replies with a yes. This makes Jerome even more suspicious of him, so he says he'll go meet his mother the next day. But instead, he goes to the manufacturer. There, he finds his robotic animal, and the manufacturer returns the robot to him while explaining its special functions, one of which is the ability to record lots of footage. And when Ernest's son watches the footage, he realizes that his father wasn't killed by the robotic animal, but by Flame. But he doesn't reveal this to Flame. Instead, he says, "You said you repaid the bank loan by selling the animal, but it came back on its own." Flame lies even more to cover up. Then Jerome tells him, "Robbie was calling you." Hearing this, Flame is shocked because he himself had killed Robbie. The next day, he even receives a letter from Robbie. It says, "I'm in trouble. You must come help me." Flame reaches the location mentioned, but as he walks forward a bit, he falls into a pit, and due to the fall, both his legs get injured. Then Jerome arrives there, and we find out that Jerome himself had written the letter in Robbie's name. After this, Jerome kills Flame and returns home. But he doesn't tell his sister about this because she is pregnant. But as a lot of time passes, then his sister realizes that Flame will not be coming back now, and she asks Jerome to bring their mother back home. Actually, because of the crops, they now have enough money to buy the frame for their mother that helps her walk, and both of them wish that they have a daughter at home. And with that, the movie ends. Friends, how did you like this movie explanation? Do let us know in the comments box. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.